Hello and welcome to Friday's ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines in the southeast. The pensioner who waited 2 days for an ambulance after falling out of his wheelchair. Roy's ordeal as his family says evidence of the human cost of the NHS crisis.
Little Archie would have survived if his mother had been admitted to hospital sooner. A coroner's damning conclusion after a baby boy from Thanet died.
Also this evening, a journey of discovery. We find out how old Great War records are shedding new light on the lives of Indian soldiers cared for at Brighton's Royal Pavilion.
And the South of England show returns for the first time in 3 years.
Here at Ardingly, they're pleased to be back, but farmers are worried about the rising costs of tending to the land and how it could impact the food we buy.
Tens of thousands of visitors are expected here over the weekend. We'll tell you what's to see and do and whether it's best to stay undercover or head outside.
Good evening. A family have spoken of their shock and anger after their 89-year-old father was left bloodied and bruised and unable to get into the hospital he desperately needed after a wheelchair fall.
Roy Clare had a history of strokes and falls. His family doctor said the ambulance was essential, but it took 21 hours for the ambulance to arrive and then almost as long again for the ambulance to deliver him into Southend Hospital. From Leigh-on-Sea, Martin Stew sends this report.
Southend University Hospital, what is going on?
The sound of a daughter's despair. Inside one of these 22 ambulances, Diane's 89-year-old dad has been holed up for nearly 8 hours.
Where do I look for my dad?
You are through to Southend Hospital.
This morning she was trying to find out how and where he is. But to tell the full story we need to go back to Tuesday, when Roy fell and cut his head open on the fireplace.
He's lying on the floor in a pool of his own blood.
Yeah.
They've told you not to move him.
Yeah.
And how long have they said you've got to wait for the ambulance?
21 hours.
In lying on the floor?
Yeah.
Using her basic nursing training, Diane patched her dad up and put him to bed. 36 hours later, his breathing deteriorated after it was feared he'd suffered a stroke. They called again.
3 ambulances turned up at once.
He went into Southend, to the car park at 1:30.
So we thought that was
yesterday.
He was in good care.
That brings us back to where we started and that 8-hour wait in the back of an ambulance.
We'd sent him into a situation where it was even worse than having him at home care.
And this doesn't appear to be a one-off.
How long has it been going on for?
I'd say 3 to 4 months.
From the neighbouring taxi rank, Dennis Carter says he regularly sees up to 30 ambulances queuing to unload patients.
So I took a guy home the other day. He fell over and banged his head on the pavement. He waited about 2 hours for an ambulance, and when he got here, he waited for 6 hours in the ambulance before he was admitted into the hospital.
Well, of course, we wanted to ask the trust which runs Southend University Hospital exactly what's going on, but unfortunately they weren't able to put anyone up for an interview. In a statement, though, they said,
"Our hospitals are experiencing an extremely high demand for their services. We are all working together to respond so that we can provide the best possible care for our patients."
All those wasted resources, 20 ambulances doing nothing, not just for him, but for other people.
Roy is now inside getting the care he needs. But Diane says nobody deserves to be treated the way he's been. Martin Stew, ITV News.
In other news, an East Grinstead care home has been fined £1.5 million after a resident in their care choked to death. The 86-year-old man was admitted to Millview with a warning he should only be given soft food, but 2 in-house risk assessments failed to record it. He was later found unresponsive and a post-mortem examination ruled he had choked eating meat.
5 men have been arrested on suspicion of murdering a football fan who died 5 years after being assaulted on his way home from a match in Southend. Simon Dobbin was left with permanent brain damage after the attack and had to be cared for by his wife. Essex Police said they began treating his death as a homicide after medical tests showed a direct link between his death in 2020 and the injuries he'd sustained in 2015.
A man who robbed a post office in Herne Bay has been jailed for 6 years. John Pugh went in armed with a crowbar and hit a member of staff in the face before stealing cash from the till. He admitted carrying out the attack in February. A coroner has ruled today there was a series of missed opportunities to save a baby boy's life in East Kent.
Archie Batten lived for just 27 minutes at the QEQM hospital in Margate. There were problems with his fetal heartbeat, which were exacerbated by his mother, Rachel Higgs, being refused a bed because the maternity unit was full. The Trust admitted liability and has apologised for Archie's death. Joe Caution was at the inquest in Maidstone and joins us live now. Joe.
Yes, Sangeeta, community midwives were sent to the home of Rachel Higgs in Broadstairs in 2019, where over a 5-hour period there was a series of missed opportunities to admit her, which would have led to Archie being born without neurological issues and ultimately saving his life. The coroner commenting that alarm bells should have been ringing. After the inquest, Nick Fairweather, the solicitor representing Archie's family, read out a statement on their behalf.
Listening to all the evidence in the case has been hard. It seems incredible to us that so many basic mistakes were made by so many people on the day of Archie's birth and death. Archie would be 2.5 years old now. We think about him and miss him every day and always will. Nothing can bring him back to us. We can only hope that true lessons will be learned from his case.
Well, the East Kent Hospitals Trust say they have since and continue to make changes to the quality and safety of their maternity services. But following the coroner's conclusion, the Trust's Chief Executive, Tracy Fletcher, issued an apology.
On behalf of the Trust, I apologise unreservedly to Archie's parents and family for Archie's death. We fully accept the coroner's findings and conclusion today, and we are deeply sorry for the failings in the care provided to Archie and his family in September 2019.
Well, the Trust is at the centre of a wider independent investigation into its maternity and neonatal units. The full findings of that investigation, known as the Kirkup Review, will be published in September. But the Hospital Trust Board has admitted previously that as many as 15 babies could have avoided dying while under its care. But that is so much more than just a statistic when you hear from families like Archie about how their lives were ripped apart unnecessarily.
Very sad, Joe. Thank you. You're watching ITV News here in the Meridian region. Coming up, documenting the hidden history with a new archive in Sussex, looking back to a unique service in Britain's wars.
And the pressure's on for some familiar faces as Soccer Aid returns. You can't miss!
And remember, you can find more on today's top stories by going to our website, itv.com/Meridian. You can call us on 0808 1010 095, and why not follow us? That's on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. The first of the big agricultural shows got underway in the southeast today, marking the start of the summer season and a return to normality of sorts after the trials of the pandemic.
The crowds were out in force at the South of England showground in Ardingly in Sussex, and the sun shone for most of the time. But farmers and agricultural workers are facing tough times. Let's cross live to Kit Bradshaw now. Kit, you've doubtless been speaking to lots of people today. What are you hearing there?
Yes, lots of conversations had today, and it's clear a lot has changed since the last time this show was held in full back in 2019, and there are lots of new hurdles for farmers to clear. Like all of us, they're dealing with rising prices, issues with the global supply chain. Added to that, Brexit, meaning lots of them are facing disruption to their workforce and subsidy arrangements, and it's made for some quite forceful and robust debates and discussions amongst the stands here today, alongside all the usual entertainment that you'd expect.
There's no shortage of skills on show here, particularly among the four-legged visitors. But for farmers across the south, it's COVID and Brexit that has caused disruption to their supply of prize-winning human talent.
We need a good amount of people. Technology will come,
but we're not there yet. So we need access to more people from abroad, but we also need training, more youngsters to go into the industry who can then fill these positions, because agriculture and horticulture, it's an ageing group of people. It shouldn't be.
Livestock have returned to the South of England show for the first time in 3 years. For one Sussex dairy farmer, it's rising prices that are causing the most concern for the future.
Our costs have risen hugely, so we were being charged 40p a litre for red diesel during lockdown, and we're now up at over £1, £1.10 a litre. And we can't just cut down, because we have been reducing our costs constantly for years and years and years. I feel that there's more pain to come, a lot more pain for the consumer to come yet.
How long before it's not profitable for you as a dairy farmer?
Well, many people would say that it's not profitable at the moment.
From fuel to fertiliser, disruption to supply chains on the continent means squeezed profits here at home.
It's gone from, say, £250 a tonne, and currently it's £650 a tonne, but it has gone as high as £1,000 a tonne. So that is the critical thing, which has really risen in price, but it's also been an issue of supply. If you don't have any fertiliser, next year's crops are going to be rather challenged.
That will undoubtedly mean further price rises in the shops, but some feel the renewed focus on food security and buying British is long overdue.
We need food. And the one thing the pandemic has taught us, and now the great sadness of what's happening in the Ukraine, is that we realise actually how remarkably fragile our food system is, and we need to be able to produce food here. British farmers produce some of the highest quality food, and they produce the high environmental standards and crucially high animal welfare standards. That really matters.
While judging what's around the corner may be a fool's game, caution seems to be the watchword here as the agricultural industry responds to new challenges and tries to secure a solid footing for the future.
Kit, I suppose for many exhibitors and the paying public, it was just a case of good to be back.
Yes, despite those worries that you were hearing about in my report, a lot of relief here that this show is back to full strength with the equestrian events and livestock like it used to be, and with tens of thousands of visitors expected to come through the gates over the weekend. It's an opportunity to celebrate all the public love about the countryside, as my colleague James Dunham has been finding out.
My husband's a farmer's son. He comes to reconnect, and I come to see all the wonderful things that are here.
Absolutely amazing. It's so lovely to have such a lovely day being at the show again.
It's really nice to be back. It's been almost 4 years since we've been around.
There's animals, there's things for kids, plenty of beer tents.
We like the shopping.
Yeah, we do.
The shopping and the shows
and
we've
got two little dogs here, so yeah, we're looking for things for them as well.
In fact, there's plenty to feast on here for the livestock and their audiences. The thousands of people who've turned up for a weekend of agricultural activity and entertainment.
When I left home this morning, it was raining. My wipers couldn't clean the screen.
Being able to do so in glorious Sussex sunshine. The Hunt Relay, one of the highlights, a showcase of collective skill with some healthy competition.
Quite exciting because you've got 4 horses, have to jump the same course, pass the whip, like in the relay in the Olympics. And it's very competitive because it all counts in that last second.
This could be it. How are they going to do it? Yes, they are. Well done, Lottie.
After last year's scaled-back show, organisers are keen to put on a full programme of events. For those who can handle it, you get a real sense of the scale of the show from above. Over the next 3 days, more than 30,000 people will be in attendance. They'll be enjoying some of the 50 equine shows and 380 livestock competitions.
Unfortunately, some Vikings turned up today, which is a bit of a problem. So as Anglo-Saxons, it's our job to keep them out, and we will win.
Some were using today as an opportunity to settle old rivalries, axes and swords in full swing. It's just something unique, isn't it?
Yeah, a bit different, isn't it? It's, yeah, no, I'll say it's fun to watch. I say, no, they seem to be enjoying themselves out there.
Quite exciting, isn't it?
Would you want to do it?
Not if I get hurt.
No.
Round robin format.
With pace and with passion, day one has proved to be quite a show. James Dunham, ITV News, Ardingly.
And it's been glorious all afternoon for both the animals and the spectators. But will the sun be shining over the weekend? We'll be back here with Holly a little later in the programme to tell us.
Kit Bradshaw, thank you very much indeed. The ITV Evening News continues with the national and international news at 6:30. Here's Lucrezia Millarini.
A man is jailed for 4.5 years and a woman for 3 after their dog mauled a 10-year-old boy to death. Jack Liss was killed by the dog called Beast while playing at a friend's house in Caerphilly in what was described as a tragic and needless event. Is the government's Rwanda plan in danger of never taking off? The High Court hears legal challenges from those who say it's unsafe. And
neighbours, everybody needs good neighbours.
Saying farewell to good friends, the final episode of Neighbours is filmed down under. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Lucrezia, thank you. The end of an era, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, for many years, it's been easy to access a wealth of information about British men and women who served in the 2 world wars.
It's a far harder task for those of Indian heritage, as there's a distinct shortage of military records. But that will change after archives drawn up by the British in 1920s were uncovered.
Yes, part of the archive will be on show on Sunday during a service at the Chattree Memorial on the South Downs, where the ashes of Indian soldiers are scattered. Almost 11,000 were sent to hospitals in Brighton after being wounded on the Western Front. I went to Brighton to find out more about this fascinating discovery. I've come to Brighton's majestic Royal Pavilion, built for royalty in the late 1700s. In the Great War, though, it was a makeshift hospital for Indian soldiers wounded in battle in France and Belgium. Hi there, Tej. How are you doing?
I'm very well, Sangeeta.
This is amazing. I mean, this picture just tells such a story. I'm here to talk to Tejpal Singh Ralmil. His great-grandfather Bava Singh was a senior officer with the Sikh pioneers, and his name is one of thousands that appear in newly digitised records, revealing more about the Indians who fought for this country. Tejpal, what is exciting about this new archive? What does it tell us that we didn't know before?
This is a previously unseen archive of records which were found in the basement of a Lahore museum, and they were made available to the UK Punjab Heritage Association. It's very exciting because it gives us new information which we previously didn't have. And this will enable many families to reconnect with their ancestral military background.
500,000 Punjabis were in Britain's India Army. Lahore Museum has records for 320,000 of them, and they are being painstakingly uploaded onto a website. This means that for the first time, families of Indian soldiers will have access to Great War service records. If people know their ancestral village, they can look up someone's regiment and rank.
This is a small sample of the 26,000 pages. As you can see, some have handwritten records, some districts have typed, and the parameters that were recorded at the time include the name of the soldier, father's name and caste.
This entry shows a man killed in France in 1916. His father got a pension of 5 rupees. 538, what would that have been?
I think that's his enlisted number.
Right, and it says, it's abbreviated.
Yeah.
INTPTR, which is...
Interpreter.
Yeah. Wow. He could probably speak English and obviously the Indian language of Punjabi.
Yeah.
Devinder Dillon from Brighton has his grandfather's medals. Kishan Singh lived a long life, but family legend has it that a great-uncle was killed in the war. Both names are in the archive.
There's a record of them, and in the absence of any photographs or medals from my great-uncle particularly, or any information, it was fantastic. It was like real. And this was hard evidence that this great-uncle actually existed.
The records show at least one soldier whose ashes are scattered on the South Downs. It's where the Chattree Memorial to fallen Indian soldiers stands. He died in Brighton, probably scared, certainly a long way from home. Perhaps right here, an unlikely setting for a hospital ward. As you can see, it's quite a grand room, and it was originally built by King George IV so he could stage his music concerts here. And that was long before a different band of brothers made it their home.
Its royal associations are made, are emphasised to the men. The sort of myth is propagated that King George V had personally requested his palace be used for his Indian subjects. And, you know, quite elaborate arrangements are made to ensure that the kind of men's religious and cultural beliefs were respected here.
You and I live in the south of England, but what does this tell us about our families in the past?
Well, it tells us that we have a shared history with shared values, what we have in common. I feel more included when studying history. Suddenly it's become relevant to me. Through school, I studied GCSE history, but I didn't really have much information about the Indian Army's involvement in the First World War, or the Second World War for that matter. And this will be a good opportunity certainly for Punjabis or even non-Punjabis, to learn about their particular family or their village's contribution to the First World War.
The information in these pages could begin a journey of discovery for those whose family ties lie far away, but for whom Britain's history is tied up with their own. It really is fascinating, and if you are interested in finding out more, you can head to our website where you'll find an extended version of that report and more details.
I certainly will be. Now, this Sunday on ITV, some of the world's biggest stars will take part in a charity football match to raise money for UNICEF.
Celebrities will be on the pitch for Soccer Aid, and footballing legends Harry Redknapp and Arsene Wenger are going head-to-head managing the teams. With more, Hamrit Birdie.
Limbering up ahead of a long day of training. It's the first time this group of celebrities have met up ahead of their Soccer Aid game on Sunday. And there's plenty of excitement, as well as footballs flying through the air.
Watch this on TV every year now to get to mix it with the celebrities and legends. It's going to be fun, very good fun. And then first time in goalkeeper as well, so let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's your first time in goal?
Yes.
Love that. I'm excited for the second half. I'm always excited. So glad to be involved again, raising money for children, UNICEF, and all the wonderful things that go on around one game of football, including meeting up with loads of celebs and ex-players. So everything about this is exciting.
Soccer Aid has been running since 2006, raising millions of pounds for children living in war and emergencies through the charity UNICEF. Despite the fun the stars are having today, the true purpose of Sunday's game is not far from their thoughts.
You know, I've been a UNICEF ambassador now for about 3 years, and having been to Sierra Leone and just recently Bangladesh, you know, just to see how good, what good UNICEF does around the world has been really eye-opening.
Football managers Harry Redknapp and Arsene Wenger now have the task of picking their starting lineup, but their eyes are firmly on each other too.
I like my team. I've been transferred. I've had the rest of the world the last 3 years, but they've transferred me this year to England. They bought this guy, Arsene Wenger or somebody. I don't know why. I mean, he only had a team at Arsenal that never lost a game all year. I mean, it's not as if he's done anything clever, is it? The Invincibles. But no, it's good to see him here as well.
The 11th annual Soccer Aid match kicks off at 7:30 on ITV this Sunday evening. Hamrit Birdie, ITV News.
Goal prediction?
It's going to be a good one. Let's return now to the South of England show at Ardingly, and Holly's there. And Holly, you've promised great weather. Is that right?
Oh, of course, don't I always? It is a bit breezy, mind you, but nice weather. I'm joined now by a man, though, who has more to celebrate than just the weather this weekend. You were a winner today, I hear.
Yes, we were, thank God.
What did you win?
We won the champion interbreed and reserve interbreed champion, so yeah, we've had a good day.
And this is the champion here?
This is the champion here, Upper Freeth Power, Limousine Bull, which is a stock bull for Thor Atkinson, and last week he was champion of champions in Northumberland County Show, so we thought, let's come to South England and give it a go.
He is certainly quite a big beast, isn't he? Just talk me through what makes a winning bull.
What makes a winning bull is obviously the characteristics of the breed, the size, the width of them, the top and line bottoms, your top is where your best cuts is coming from. So yeah, he's got everything that's going.
Fab, well, congratulations on your win. Now, Steve is the farm manager, but over here I have the boss, the owner. Thank you for joining me, Frankie. Who is this?
This is Tanza.
And tell me about Tanza. Is she your favourite?
She's my favourite because I get to lead her.
And how did she do today in the competition?
Absolutely brilliant.
Oh, well, congratulations as well, and good luck for the rest of the competitions this weekend. Joining me now is Corrie, the show director. Corrie, thanks for joining us today. Lots of cows here, lots of prizes, but actually tomorrow is the big day, isn't it?
It is. We have the judging of the very prestigious Burke Trophy in the main ring tomorrow, and we're honoured to be able to hold it this year after it being delayed for a couple of years. So it's going to be great tomorrow to have it with us.
And just give me a quick sense, we've got cows here, what else can people see at the show?
Oh, livestock, we have sheep, goats, pigs, everything. A Saxon reenactment, traditional crafts, international show jumping, equestrians in every shape and size.
Lovely. Well, thank you ever so much for joining me today. It sounds like it should be another lovely couple of days. And as I say, the weather not looking too bad. We have got a bit of a breeze around, but it should be mostly dry. Just 1 or 2 showers, some spells of sunshine. But let's have a look at the full forecast. Here we go.
Feels like home, whatever the weather. Valent Boilers and Heat Pumps sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
Well, I think we should see some very reasonable weather really through the weekend. We've got some nice spells of sunshine. I've put mostly dry because we could just catch a few showers, but they should be fairly few and far between. And we have got a bit of a breeze around as well. We've had it today and that will continue into tomorrow, easing a smidge I think on Sunday. They're still noticeable. The bigger picture then shows us why we've got low pressure to the north, we've got higher pressure to the south. That high pressure trying to keep us fairly settled, but it's the difference between the two giving us the squeeze in the isobars, indicating this breezy wind. Well, this evening then, not a bad end to the day, some spells of sunshine around, and as we head into the night tonight, largely starry skies. We do keep this breeze where it drops a bit lighter. We could see a touch of mist or shallow fog, but it shouldn't amount to very much. And it's cooler than last night as well. I think that will be noticeable. These are typical values for towns and cities, but out in the countryside, you could see a 7 or an 8 degrees, say. So a chillier start for the time of year tomorrow morning, lovely and bright at first. As the day wears on, a bit more cloud bubbles up, and you could see an isolated shower, but most of us will probably get away with a dry one, I think, for tomorrow. Still this southwesterly breeze, much like today. I think along the south coast, temperatures probably in the high teens, come inland, and we're talking low 20s. Taking a look at our times of high water, you've got Brighton there at 9:05 and again at 9:33. And for the outlook, again, a settled story on Sunday, maybe a few showers, mostly dry, with some spells of sunshine.
Valent sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
Hello, summer. Piri sponsors ITV Pollen Count.
And if you're anything like me, you're going to know all about the pollen count this weekend. We're in the peak of the grass pollen season with some sunny spells and a breezy wind. It certainly isn't going to help.
In just a moment, the ITV Evening News with Lucrezia Millerini.
For now, though, from the team here at ITV Meridian, thank you so much for watching. Have a fabulous weekend. See you Monday. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.